If you are in the New Testament, please come to Bible study. We love you, and we want you to know that Chronicles is in the Old Testament. Amen. 2 Chronicles 34th chapter. And I want us to look at the first two verses. It reads this way in the English Standard Version, but whatever version you have, please follow along. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 31 years in Jerusalem. And he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and walked in the ways of David his father, and he did not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Amen. That's enough. You may be seated. I want to thank our ministers for their assistance in leading this worship, and again all of our leadership and all who have contributed to this worship experience. Today, young people in church, I want to talk about the measure of our success. The measure of our success. The measure of our success.
Well,
in 2009, almost 10 years ago, good to see you, Pastor Tower. Didn't realize you were here. Good to see you, my brother. You're welcome to join us up here. If you want to relax, that's fine. Good to see you in the house on today. He's been a brother and friend to me. Pastor's in Kinder, Louisiana, and we're certainly grateful for him. And I want to, again, thank God for all of our young people who are here on today. But in 2009, almost 10 years ago, someone that many of our young people, and even those who are in college and young adults, and even some of us who aren't as young as we used to be, may know these names. But a brother by the name of Trey Songz, who is lauded by women all over the world as a very gifted and handsome R&B singer, and another brother who was at that time still emerging to become the international superstar that he's become, Drake, Brother Drake. Brother Drake, young people, and Trey Songz got together in 2009. For some of you, you weren't around just yet, but those two brothers got together and they did a song, and it was entitled Successful.
yeah.
Somebody, Brother Wood, remember that song.
Yeah.
Amen. Some of you remember it too. You just don't want to admit that you knew every word, every lyric to that song. But in the song, they kept saying, I just want to be successful.
Yeah.
And the song, while it's an older song and is outdated for this generation, I think it remains relevant for two reasons. Number one, it echoes a plea that is common to all of us and pressing, particularly for many of our young people, which is our desire to achieve success. But secondly, young people, I want to argue today that it prompts us as children of God to consider not only the goal of success, but the course we take to achieve success.
Amen. Amen.
Young people, it's not enough to want to be successful. You have to examine how you plan to get there.
Yeah.
And do I have any parents and any aunties and uncles and big mamas and pawpaws in the audience today who can attest to the fact that in your own life you can look back and you can testify that it wasn't only important to pursue success, but you learn sometimes the hard way that if you go after success the wrong way, it can cost you and it can bring into your life some consequences. See, I'm dating myself, but those of us who are around my age, and if you're in your 30s, then you're going to remember that 50 Cent, when he came on the scene, years ago, 50 Cent, a brother named Curtis Jackson, he goes by 50 Cent. I don't know why he chose 50 Cent. Maybe somebody who knows the reason, y'all can tell me after church, but he goes by 50 Cent. But he came onto the scene when I was in college. I was a student on Prairie View A&M University's campus, purple and gold. Amen. No love lost for Brandon the Southern, but I was at Prairie View A&M University, in the SWAC conference in the fall of 2000, amen. God bless your heart. And I was going to class and I was going to lunch, and Brother 50 Cent came out with an album called Get Rich
Or Die Trying. Yeah. Die Trying.
And on the front of the album, young people, there was a picture of 50 Cent, and there was a bullet that had shattered the glass, that created cracks, and he was standing behind the bullet hole. I mean, in real life, he was shot and wounded and lived to tell about it. But his whole album was built on the premise, young people, that you ought to get rich or die trying. That by any means necessary, I want to be successful by the world's standards. And so the matter, child of God, today is this: that pursuing your dreams and your aspirations and achieving your goals and trying to be successful is only truly rewarding if the path we take, here it is pleasing in God's eyes.
Amen. Amen.
That's all I want to say today. If you don't catch anything else, you've caught the sermon. That the rewards that we seek in this life can only be experienced if the path we take is pleasing in the eyes of God. Because somebody who knows that you tried to take your path and try to do it your way, somebody can attest. And see, here's what young people need. They need parents and aunties and uncles and pawpaw and big mama to be honest about the fact that you made some mistakes too. They need you to be honest about the fact that you stayed out too late sometimes, that you dated the wrong joker sometimes, that you dated the wrong sister, the wrong brother, and you live to tell about the fact that when God brought you out of what you got yourself stuck in, that you learned the hard way, that if you do it God's way, His way is better than your way.
Yeah.
You are anybody that can just thank God today that you did not marry who you went to homecoming with, that you did not end up stuck with that brother or that sister that you ran into him last week, ran into him last year, and you thank God every day that He gave you the maturity, that He gave you the strength, that He gave you the courage to walk away because you figured out that if I go down the wrong path, I'm going to pay for it.
Yes, sir.
Proverbs says the plans of the heart belong to man.
Yes, sir.
To woman, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All of the ways of humanity are pure in our eyes, but the Lord weighs the spirit. So young people, commit your work to the Lord, and watch this, your plans will be established. Notice the order. You've got to commit your work to the Lord, and He'll make sure your plans are fulfilled. But if I try to do it the other way around, then I'll find that my plans may not be God's plans. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these other things that you want, the Bible says they shall be added to you. So more than peer approval and personal satisfaction, I urge you to develop a passion for pleasing God in all that you set out to accomplish. It is this desire to obtain God's approval in all things that enables us to accomplish great things for the Lord. Never forget that the significance of our success and our accomplishments in God's kingdom is always tied to the quality of our approach. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say amen for myself today. The significance and the quality of life that we seek to have is tied to the quality of the approach that we take. So in this text, the story of Josiah is one in which we get a glimpse, we get a snapshot of one who, young people, tried to please God in all that he set out to do.
Yeah.
Josiah is highlighted as the one who received a good evaluation for his endeavors. The account of his life is a presentation of the impact of one's accomplishments, here it is, when they are achieved in service to the Lord. Josiah's story is couched in this second portion of Chronicles, which functions as a reminder for God's people to reaffirm their identity by embracing God as the overseer and the orchestrator of their affairs. In other words, Chronicles is about how God put puts his hand on your life.
Yeah.
And as long as God's hand is on your life, and it is, and as long as God is overseeing your life, and he is, and as long as God is the orchestrator of your affairs, and he is, then you can achieve success. But here's the kicker. You got to acknowledge him as the overseer.
Yeah.
You got to acknowledge him as the orchestrator. You got to acknowledge the fact that it's his hands that keep food on your table. You got to acknowledge the fact that it's his hands that put clothes in your closet. It's his hands that gave you more than one tailor-made suit. It's his hands that put that car in that garage, that put the second car in the other space in your garage, and put the third car in the driveway. It's his hands that put red-bottom shoes in your closet. It's his hands that put that degree in your hand. It's his hands that put money in your bank account so that when you go to Kroger, your debit card and your credit card doesn't say you're denied. It's the Lord's hand. Now, maybe some of you don't get excited about that, but I'm suspicious, and I have a sneaky suspicion that there might be 2 or 3 of us that know. If it had not been for God's hands, his unseen hands, that were orchestrating and overseeing my affairs, then I would not be here right now. Because the truth is, none of us deserve anything we have. Can somebody help me praise God today? Because you're here not because you've been so smart, you're here not because you've been so kind, or you've been so intelligent, or you've been so skilled, and you have degrees, but you're here because everything you have, God's hand.
His hand. Yeah.
God's hand has been on your life. And so with God, that you cannot do on behalf of the Lord. And so young people today, Josiah's desire to please God helped him be successful in everything that he did. That's all I've come to say. That the secret to our success, the way in which we measure success, is not how much money we have. It's not how many J's we get to wear. Although all that's cool. I'm not saying you can't go get J's. I'm not saying you shouldn't look nice and should not dress nice and should not aspire to make good money one day and drive a nice car and live in a nice home. But can I tell you something? You can drive a nice car, you can make good money, you can live on Shell Beach, and you can still be ugly in your heart, nasty in your spirit, have a bad, negative, funky, foul attitude. Not funky, but funky. That was on purpose. Because you can have all of those things checked off by the world's standards of significance and success, and not be successful in God's eyes. So young people, let's look at what this story has to teach us today in the life of Josiah. The first thing I want you to see, young people and church today, is that if we're going to measure success, the first thing you have to do initially is be defined more by your principles than your position.
Yes.
The text says Josiah was 8 years old.
Yeah.
Now, scholars say Josiah was not literally by himself reigning over Jerusalem and Israel. He did have other counselors and persons who could assist him in the effort and advisors. Yes, sir. But the text says that when he was 8, nonetheless, he was in the position of reigning. He reigned, that's his position. But watch this. He reigned 31 years in Jerusalem, and here it is, verse 2. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. That's principle.
Principle, yeah.
He reigned. That's position. He did what was right. That's principle. He reigned. That's position. He did what was right.
Yeah.
That's principle. Principles, that's convictions, that's core beliefs, that's fundamental beliefs and values. Those are your principles. Principles like integrity, and principles like justice, and principles like fairness and equity, and treat people right rather than treat people partial based on what favors you can get out of them. So again, he reigned, that was his position, but he did what was right. That was his principle. And can I tell you something today? That's why America, young people, is in the shape it's in. That's why America adults is in the shape it's in, because we've got somebody in position without principle.
That's right.
And watch this. You can have the position and be in charge and misuse and abuse the position if you lack principle.
Yeah.
Because any one of us can get a promotion and lose our minds. You ever met somebody that got promoted ahead of you and they lost all good sense that they had? That you all were able to go to lunch 2 weeks before, but as soon as they're promoted, they can no longer have a conversation with you?
Yes, sir.
Nobody in here, but some of the folk you know. Because it's called a power trip. It goes to your head. So young people, if you're going to be successful, it's not what position you occupy, but it's the principles by which you occupy that position.
Yes, sir. Good word.
It's what you do with the position that matters. Don't be the leader of the cheerleading squad, the dance team, the drum major in the band,
Speak.
the lead vocalist in the choir. Don't be leaders in positions, but mistreat your peers and have ugly attitudes and talk about people and trash people and assassinate their character. Don't have a position of power and then get on Instagram and Facebook and trash your peers and talk about your classmates. Even if they talk about you, don't get revenge on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, because here it is. Everything you say is going to be stored just like everything they said is stored.
Good illustration. Good.
And when you go and you want to talk to Chairman Wallace about how you can get guidance and counsel on starting a new business, and you need a reference, and you have a job interview, everything you said on Snapchat.
Speak, Doc.
See, there are firms, there are companies that pay people to find out everything you said at any juncture in your life. That's why when President Obama became president, they found his third grade essays.
Wow.
They went all the way back to elementary school to look at what the brother wrote and tried to criticize him for that. Do you all remember that they tried to criticize the president because he said third grade he wanted to be the president? As if that's a negative thing. But the point is, young people, be defined.
Yes, sir.
By
Yes.
your principles.
Good stick.
Don't be a mean girl at school.
Wow.
I know it makes you laugh when you watch the show, but don't be a mean girl. Don't be one of those fellas that treats all the young ladies like they're worth nothing. Use principle in your life. And can I tell you something, young people? It's going to be hard sometimes to be a person of principle.
Yes, sir.
Because you're going to be tempted to cave in to peer pressure. Because principle, here it is, principle puts boundaries around your life. Principle says you can't say and do everything that everybody else says and does.
Amen.
And see, this isn't just for them, this is for anybody in here. Because some of us who are grown still need to work on this. Anybody wave your hand and say, God ain't through with me yet? Some of us still have to learn. I can't say everything that's on my mind. Because I'm not going to be married long if I do. I'm not going to have a job too long if I say everything that's on my mind. I can't tell my supervisor everything I think about him or her, even if it's true.
That's right. That's right. That's right, Doc.
And if you're a supervisor, you shouldn't tell your employees everything you think about them, even if it's true. Because you have to operate with principle.
Amen.
And so, be defined, young people, by principle more than position.
Yes, sir.
But secondly, you know what? I need to slide this in. President Dwight Eisenhower He said, a people that values its privileges above its principles soon loses both.
Oh.
That's what President Eisenhower said in the 20th century. A people or a country that values its privileges more than its principles soon loses both.
Both.
And that's why in 2018, there's evidence that America for too long has valued its privileges more than its principles. And we see the collapse of integrity before our eyes. We see the collapse of our credibility right before our eyes. On an international scale, the world is watching. America reckoned with herself. Because for too long, we tried to pretend that everything was better than it really is. We made some progress, but we still have a long way to go. But secondly, I want to share, because in the text, if we move, we got to move. In the text it says, he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. But then it says, Josiah, here it is, walked in the ways of David his father. Now that's interesting. I always say if you read the Bible too fast, you'll miss something. Josiah's father is not David.
That's right.
So why, Sister Katrina, I asked the question, why would the text say that Josiah walked in the ways of David, his father? Young people, I raise the question. Why would the Bible say that Josiah, young Josiah, the king, he followed in the footsteps of a man that's not his biological father? Well, here it is. Josiah's father was Haman.
Yeah.
Haman's daddy was Manasseh. And scripture says that both of them did evil in the eyes of the Lord.
Woo. Set it up, Doc.
They had position, but had no principle, and therefore, as a consequence, they are remembered not for what good they did, but for how much evil they did. So the scripture says, Josiah, watch this, discerned the importance of his influence.
Yes, sir.
Not only was he more defined by his principle than his position, he discerned the importance of his influence.
Yep.
Here's my word to you. Even if somebody, daddy, mama, auntie isn't in the picture, and your grandmother's raising you, or your auntie is raising you, or somebody else in the family is taking you in, listen, you've got to discern for yourself which influences are going to be most impactful in your life.
Amen. Good
now,
word.
Here it is, and this is for all of us. Some of us know what it's like to learn how to love somebody from a distance. There's some folk in your own family you got to love from a distance. You can't tell them everything going on in your marriage. You can't tell them everything going on with your job and with your education because they can't keep it to themselves. So you got to love them. You got to love her. You got to love that brother, that sister from a distance. Some cousins, you give them a hug, what's up, man, and you keep walking. I love you, but I'll talk to you later. Because you have to discern which influences are going to impact your life.
Yeah.
Here it is. Anybody you spend enough time around is going to have influence on your life. But how are they influencing you? Josiah made up in his mind, based on the text, he was going to walk in the ways of David. Now, here's another problem. David was pretty low down also. Stay with me real quick so I can unpack this. David was really no better than Haman or Manasseh. Here's the difference. Psalm 51 said,
yeah.
Thank Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
That when the prophet Nathan had come to him and revealed to him that he had disgraced not only himself as king and dishonored his family and dishonored a wife by taking someone else's wife and having an inappropriate, illicit relationship with her and having her husband killed, not only did he disgrace her and his own family, but he disgraced God. And David knew how to get on his knees and say, create in me.
Yes, sir. Clean.
Somebody will help me right here.
Clean heart.
Pray that prayer.
Yeah.
Where you know you had said what you shouldn't have said, and you regretted it. You did something you shouldn't have done. You went somewhere you shouldn't have gone. You stayed with somebody you shouldn't have been with, and you stayed too long, and you found yourself caught up in a bad situation. You found yourself living the lies you had started to tell, because somebody knows when you start lying, you got to start living the lie so you can keep up the lie, so nobody knows you're lying. And David knew how to fall on his knees and say, Father, I stretch.
Yeah.
I'm low down, Lord, but create in me. Make me over again. That's the difference.
That's the difference.
Young people, everybody messes up. The question is, can you be sincere and acknowledge you messed up? See, it takes a big person to acknowledge that you messed up. It takes a big husband or a big wife, mature. I don't mean physically. I'm talking about big in maturity. It takes maturity to admit you were wrong, or to admit you need help. Because again, you cannot sustain any relationship without honesty and accountability. So young people, you got to understand there's going to be persons that come in and out of your life. And the question becomes, which influences will you allow to impact your life? That's what Josiah did. So Josiah wasn't following in David's footsteps when David was sinning. Josiah was following in David's footsteps when David was sincere with God about his sin. Right. I'm almost done. Paul says, he who has begun a good work in you shall bring it to completion. That means, young people, whatever God starts in your heart, whatever God puts in your mind, God has the power to enable you to bring that to fruition. That God can literally enable you to achieve everything you're dreaming of if you give your dreams to Him. But you got to understand the power of influences. That's why you can't listen to Drake every day.
Amen.
You can't listen to Migos every day. I tell you all the time, I used to listen to Jay-Z, and I listen. I know all the lyrics to a whole lot of songs. And listen, young people, let me catch all your parents and aunties and uncles too. You all know some lyrics of some other songs too that aren't gospel also. Oh yeah. Yeah, you have been listening to Mississippi Mass all your life. Amen. Oh yeah. Yeah, you know who Maze is, and you know who the Shylights are. Come on and help me in here. You know who the Temptations are, and the OJs, and you know, you just go down Cool in the Gang, and Cameo, Cat Band, Earth, Wind and Fire, Luther Vandross, Marvin Gaye, Tap in the Grass. See how it's fun, young people, but they know also.
Help yourself, Doc. Yeah.
So the difference is you got to be able to separate your R&B and your soul and your hip-hop from how you prepare yourself to live your life. You can enjoy some things, but you can't, watch this, be enveloped and consumed by anything.
Amen.
Because that's what influence will do. I'm done with this. We need to be defined by principle more than position. We need to discern the importance of our influences. But I close with this. We must be disciplined in the midst of distraction.
Yeah.
Because the text says, and I'm done, Josiah did not turn aside to the right hand or the left.
Or the left.
So the presence of distractions is evident because it says he did not turn, meaning there was something there, he just didn't turn. Wish somebody would get as excited as I am about this. That there was something there, but Josiah people never turned. It doesn't mean he never looked. It's just, here's the difference. Listen, fellas. It's like when you see a young lady that looks very attractive. Or sisters, when you see a young man that looks attractive and you're at school and you see the brother on the track team, or you see the sister who's the cheerleader, and you turn your head. It's all right to do. You ought to do that because God made you human. But here's the difference. If I turn my whole body, I'll take lessons later. If I turn my head, my feet are still facing this way. Somebody.
Yeah!
But if I turn, see, only folk that have turned in life can shout on this. Because some adults in there can testify that you turned when you shouldn't have turned. And it was only the Lord that brought you back to where you should have been in the first place.
Help yourself, brother!
I'm done, but you got to be disciplined. And it takes time. You got to develop a sense of discipline in your life. You can't just be impulsive.
No, man.
You can't give in to every urge and passion. Because you're going to have some, and you're going to want to turn. You're going to want to turn, but when you turn, your feet are turning. And when your feet turn, when your heart turns,
Yeah.
when your mind turns, when your spirit turns, you are now headed in a different direction.
Yes, sir.
But Josiah, the text says, he did not turn
Left or to the right?
to the right hand or to the left. I'm done, young people. I leave you with this story. There was a white brother, Caucasian brother in the 20th century, Clarence Jordan, who's known to have started what was known as the Conania farm. And he lived in Georgia, deep south, middle of the 20th century, so you can imagine racial discrimination. Ku Klux Klan was still very out in the open and visible and evident. And he made up in his mind that he was going to put together a plot of land and cultivate crops and food to help support poor people, whether you were white or black. This was very radical and obviously drew much resistance from those who did not want to see someone reach across racial lines in that way. Well, for 14 years, young people, this man farmed and cultivated crops, vegetables, food to help poor people that could not afford to get enough food and sustenance for themselves.
Well,
But in the 14th year of Deacon Woodard, the story is told that they got tired of Brother Jordan. They got fed up with his acts to reach across the aisles of racial divides, and they got tired of his efforts to try to exemplify fairness and equity in his business. And so they set the land on fire.
wow.
And the next day, after everything was still smoldering and up in smoke and ashes, the story is that there was a reporter who came to do a story, and they saw Brother Jordan out there. Brother Jordan was out there, and he had a gardening tool and had a hoe, a gardening tool, H-O-E, in his hand. He was still hitting the soil, and the lady asked him, "Sir, why are you still out here working on this farm? It's smoldering, it's full of smoke, everything had been burned, his house, it's reported, was even shot up." And so the reporter asked him, "Why are you still out here? And what difference will this make? Do you consider yourself a success? You've been here 14 years, and always been burned up. Do you consider the work you've done a success? And here's what his response was, and I'm done. He said, I am as successful as Jesus was on the cross. Because he says, when Jesus was on the cross, what looked like failure was really a picture of faithfulness. And do I have anybody here that knows that if you're faithful to God, I said, do I have anybody here that knows that if you're faithful to the Lord, that the Lord has a way of taking what looks like failure, and as long as you're faithful to Him, He'll make you successful. I said, do I have anybody here that knows? I'm done. I'm just about to get happy because I know that faithfulness will pay off. And so do I have anybody here that knows that the Lord is good? I said, do I have anybody here that knows that God is worthy to be praised? Because if you're faithful to Him, then He'll make you successful. He's faithful to Him, and He'll make you successful. Is God good to anybody in here? I said, is the Lord good to anybody in here? Has God kept food on your table, and kept clothes in your closet, and kept gas in your car? If you wave your hands, if you wave your hands, is the Lord worthy? I said, He's worthy. He's worthy. I said, He's worthy. He's worthy. Is the Lord worthy? He's worthy. He's worthy. He's powerful. He's mighty. He's strong. He's gracious. He's loving. He's kind. He's worthy. I said He's worthy. Be defined by principle, not just your position. Discern the impact of your influences and be disciplined.
Beautiful.
In the midst of your distractions. And if you do that, God will ensure that you will be successful.
Beautiful.
It won't look like what the world deems success. You may not be a celebrity, you may never become famous, you might not ever get rich. But if you're faithful, then you are successful in God's eyes. God bless you.